Manufacturers know that people like me exist that will drive a motor year 2000, a car, 1984, insofar as it still moves. So in order to cause people like me to just keep buying new cars, they have to break a 1984 model. It has to fall apart. So you have to get a new one. So therefore, these guys by these solar panels, I believe that they know that there's a way that you can keep power going for 24 hours without a need to maintain and without ESCOM, without the need for ESCOM. But how are they're going to package it? How are they going to create different permutations or different packages to sell to consumers that they might be a going concern as a business? Listen, be clever, be smart, do what you want to do. But what I'm getting at is that I think it is possible for our solar panels to never ever die off, but that would have to require more upgrades on the part of the manufacturer that installed them in order for us to have longer lasting solar power, and basically the highest package or a higher one than the one that we took up initially. And we would have to be incentivized to do that, because the original one that we got into, yes, Sebenzela, there was nothing wrong with it until the parasite of the country made a decision that it's not going to eat into suburbia. It's not going to eat into the middle income clump of South Africans, and we are them. So that's my mom and I. That's my sisters and I. That most of you South Africa. Most of you working class. That's you. It's a whole bunch of white people. Most of the white population is in this group too. Most of the Indians, like, you get my point. Most of the black population is among the poor, but most of the white population is among this working class. They're coming for you too, white folk. It's what I was talking about. You live in Vilgejevel, all my neighbors in the periphery, except the one at the back, are white. So they are the one, like, listen, the past month, this year, June, we're now on the 1st of July. We had, in the past 2 weeks, not June is a long time, 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of June, 3 power cuts, one of which lasted almost 48 hours, but I didn't count a little bit of the 12 hours in the middle because it was during the day, and two of them were 12 hours, so 1 day long, and then one of them was almost 2 days in just the past 2 weeks, and they were not within roster, they were not within schedule of the load shedding schedule that we didn't even look at, because I mean, you get spoiled by solar panels, but it was not load shedding. And when we came to learn what cut the power, it wasn't even that which is out of most of our control. When we came to learn what cut the power, it wasn't even that which was out of most of all of our control. It was not tampering, it wasn't theft, cable theft, it wasn't crime. It was just the system being like, too much now. I mean, that is a maintenance issue. It's not a human issue. It's not a crime issue. It is a electrical infrastructure is still falling apart, don't you see, issue. It's getting worse and worse, and they're still not fixing it, issue. It was not easy, all 3 times. It was not easy, to a point where my mom and I had conversations about it at length at different spots, and every time these podcasts happen, I go to her bedroom and I'm like, ke load shedding, or whatever. And she's like, no, it's not load shedding. It's unplanned, it's unscheduled. And based on this WhatsApp from the community chat, ba overloaded. And it happened again. And it's one of those winter days that's kind of sunny. It could pass for spring. So it wasn't so hot that neighbors would need to have all the heaters in their house and the stoves going and everything that could whistle in the house. Out you're causing an electric storm. No, it's not the kind of winter day that would cause all that much usage of power. Plus, it's like a Wednesday. So, I mean, who in the world does laundry on Wednesday? Largely, you're doing it on Friday or Saturday. I mean, come on, y'all know your domestic workers arrive only on those days, largely. So we're not using even heavy-duty appliances on Wednesday. And because it's Wednesday, a lot of people are at work. A lot of people then come back home, yes, later on in the day. The power left at 6, and it was because, again, of an overload. What are you talking about? It's one of those winter days that could pass for spring. Today was one of those. That's why I can wear just one jersey. Usually, guys. Usually, I look even kind of chubby. I'm jersey. I tray. No, namhlanje throughout the afternoon ngigqoke nje fela just as polo neck and the vest underneath. And this here thingy, the scarf, I'm only wearing it for fashion for the video, but I wasn't wearing it throughout the day. I just wanted a different look from the last time, so I don't look like I get chinchidi up at home. Yeah, y'all. Good try, but overwhelmed. What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about? Overwhelmed during spring with power, because today's winter be out looking like spring. That's when I finally decided to just get it off my chest and send a WhatsApp to my mom, but it turns out my mom was already thinking about it as well. I said in my WhatsApp, okay, listen, South Africa's only gonna go from bad to worse. I'm summarizing very, very hotly. I was like, it's only gonna go from bad to worse. You should probably invest in those solar panels that you were avoidant to invest in the first time you put them in, because you were not trying to spend all that much money. It would have been ideal if you had just spent all that money back then, because then we would not be dealing with this issue. You should probably upgrade, because if you don't upgrade, upgrade while you still have a job, while they still keep on renewing your contract, if you don't upgrade, a situation that's going to hurt even me. And since I am your future financier, if my job online in teaching English and what I'm trying to do over here until I'm finally in Korea, if that is not stabilized, if I don't have a constant supply of power so that I don't ever have lackluster reviews for my English lessons and power cards that are unplanned happening that linger for so many hours that even though we've got solar panels, I will still be affected because the solar power, our unit, if at all the electricity is off for longer than about 4 to 5 hours, the power starts to die. And since online teaching, you teach people in the international market that sometimes be needing you to be available for them at like 3 a.m. I'm willing to do that because I'm awake at 3 a.m. anyway. I'm awake at 5. I'm awake at 4. I'm awake at 2, 1, 12. I'm awake all the day from about 2 p.m. up until 6 a.m. That's just been my roster all this time. It's perfect for international students. I won't feel it. Ingati, I'm not sleeping. And Ingati, I'm taking myself out of my element. I've been doing it all this time anyway. But I mean, those hours, pretty much from 6 p.m. 7 in summer up until 6 a.m. after 6. Pitch as night, baby. Dark like the wilderness. Dark like the road when you drive into Cape Town. Just dark. And so there's no charging coming from the panels. It's charging only from Eskom. And if at all there's one of these unplanned podcasts, Kinali, a fully booked schedule for 8 hours, 8 students. Maybe charging these here individuals a cool $20 an hour. I mean, how much money is that down the drain? And if all those lessons are cancelled with you not pitching while students rock up, one strike. If you don't rock up at one lesson, the marketplace where you are teaching, whatever platform, be it Cambly, italki, whatever, Preply, whatever marketplace it is that you're teaching on, after enough infractions, they just kick you off the system altogether. And imagine if they kick you off the system, you've already established what do you call this thing? You've already established one, rapport with your existing students, and secondly, you've grown. A lot of times with teaching online, you start out with like $10 an hour, something ridiculous like that, and then after a month, you maybe might go to $15 an hour. After 3 months, you could push the envelope to like $17 an hour. After a year, you could go to $20, $28, $30 an hour. $50, $100, depending on how many years you've been working. You basically just kind of set your own salary, and your increase of your rates depends on your reviews. So the better you do, the more money you make, and also it all depends on you staying on one platform. When you start on a new platform, you don't grab the work experience of your old platform and the reviews of your old platform and put them on a new platform. So if Preply fires you and you start to go and work now for Cambly, you have to start from scratch. And when you have no reviews, you can't be out to charging $30 an hour for what? So where you build your audience, where you build your portfolio is where you should likely stay for a very long amount of time. It's the kind of job where you can't afford to get fired from one company, because then you have to start from scratch in another company. It's actually trying to eat away at my money, and that's what y'all are also trying to do. If I start on Preply and perhaps Cambly, I have to stay on those platforms for long enough for the money to make sense before I can maybe establish my own little tutoring school. But to establish your own little tutoring school, give yourself at least 2 years experience. Listen, Oskato Papa Velo tutoring from scratch with nowhere else boosting your agenda alone. If you have your own tutoring school, then nobody's going to be out there giving you grief. But again, if you can't be available for your students, you're not going to be a very reliable independent tutor, now are you? Yeah, okay. I flat out just kind of tabled this to my mom. I was like, this year is threatening our money, because it's not just my money, it's ours. You're investing in me now, but in the future, I'm going to invest in you. We need to change up solar panels. We need to get better ones. I intend to leave the country ultimately, but I won't leave for 1.5 to 2 years. And in that time, I'm trying to establish an audience. I'm trying to establish a rapport. And my clients, my customers, I mean, when you teach online, when you've got an online job, you're a digital nomad on that day. You can teach anywhere from anywhere in the world. So I will never lose my customers. I will never lose my access to the site anywhere I go. I can still teach from Korea online, maintaining the same students, just changing maybe hours depending on what hours Korea operates in comparison to South Africa. I will still be able to keep doing that. I can become a whole digital nomad, living in different countries, just teaching over there. Insofar as I can get a digital nomad visa, but in order to get a digital nomad visa, you have to earn. I found out with North Korea, with South Korea, you have to be earning a minimum of $60,000 per annum. And listen, who has that money? It's over $1 million. I'm not going to make that. But over time, it's feasible. But digital nomad visas, don't last very long, and they tend to, after a certain number of years, expire. They expire permanently and you can't renew them. So you have to be prepared to move around from pillar to post, from country to country after just 2 years of living there. So if you develop a liking for a country, you're going to have to quickly transfer over from digital nomad visa to another kind of visa, like maybe just a teaching visa or an entertainment visa. But I mean, just the number of visas available to stay in Korea are so restricted, and how hard it is to get them all just makes life nice and miserable. So the one that is most feasible for me to get inside Korea and guarantee myself there at least 4 years is the teaching one. But with the teaching visa, I can still teach English online type establishment thing. So this is something that I can carry with me everywhere I go. It'll always be pocket change. It'll enable me to live in an apartment that's better than these small little matchboxes that teachers live in. It'll enable me to live in a good apartment, have a good lifestyle in Korea while having a day job as a teacher at a private school or a private school or public school or whatever. It'll give me that legroom to have a much better lifestyle. Oh, I mean, listen, teachers have a decent lifestyle, but I'm like, what, 40 what? And again, I hope my husband is there with me. But what I'm getting at is that I'm building all that life now here from South Africa. I'm building it now. And load shedding is standing in the way of that. And if the South African economy keeps on ripping, especially the parasite, if it keeps on ripping South Africans, especially Black South Africans, from employment and keeping the youth poor, they have now YouTube channels. They can be digital nomads in South Korea if your YouTube channel earns you over $1 million an annum. We don't know. All the best with that, you know? Yeah, rands. Because it's $60,000 per annum type establishment thing. Go be a digital nomad. Like basically online spaces wherein you can make money. Load shedding is threatening all that, especially if they lean on a roster, a schedule. Unlike a YouTube video that you can wait to upload when the power comes back on, and so you're still good. You can't just change the time when you're supposed to pitch and teach a student online. There are certain schedule reliant online occupations that if at all you're not available on those jobs at that time, you lose your slot in that company. And teaching on English online is one of them. Another one of them is looking at systems. I spoke about that. That's what Mighty needs to go and do, because she's so antisocial with the ways that she treats people, that she needs a job where she'll only be looking at AI code, binary code, ones, zeros, looking at a screen like she's Neo in the Matrix or whatever for a job. And in that way, she's not going to be so jealous of people that she will destroy their futures. But it also is a really boring job that, however, earns a lot of money so she can be comfortable. I said that she can be comfortable, pay rent, take children to school, live in a very comfortable apartment with a jacuzzi, being like a nighttime security guard of systems. If she can just get an AI course or whatever and succeed to get this job that's going to pay her a cool $50 to $100 an hour just to sit there and stare at systems. Jobs like those need you to have a constant supply of internet, and right next to electricity. You just need to be on. Your computer can never crash, glitch, or fall apart, because they also review your KPIs on your prosperity. And so maintaining these systems, you can be blamed quite easily for anything that falls apart on a system, but you can also be praised for basically fighting fires. Mighty needs to go and do that for a job. Pays well, but baby, you don't gotta deal with people. Anyway, such jobs as those. If you're doing it from South Africa, paying for your very comfortable apartment in 4 ways, and then like for a whole 12 hours there's no power, and you invested in solar panels. You did, because you knew that you needed your power supply to keep going. But then there's like an unscheduled power cut that lingers for 12 hours until your solar panels are no longer enough to keep you going, given that the battery's not depleted. This is a massive business risk. I told that to my mom. I was like, it's a huge business risk. I mean, load shedding on its own is a business risk unless you've got solar panels. But like, if at all, those solar panels are not going to do anything for you because the parasite is eating away at everybody so horrifically that now even those people that did that, who hooked that contingency plan up, even they're still in danger. If at all my online teaching job is on the line, y'all, from electricity when we've got solar panels, what that speaks volumes to rather than inefficiencies of my ability to do what I need to do are inefficiencies of my country. It says that even when people want to try like a dog really hard, and even when people invest to not be afflicted by that which afflicts the regular South African, they still get afflicted, because there's only so much that these solar panels we paid for can carry us through. There's only so much time it can give us. A 24-hour power cut, our panels are they're not built for that. They can't take that. They don't charge all that long. So now my mother has to invest more money. We spoke about it today, and the agreement was that once I have secured a job, she's going to look into, since she still got a job, into basically upgrading our panels so that our solar unit, our solar set, the whole thing, the whole machine, she's going to upgrade it so that there will never ever be a power cut in spite of all these things that are threatening us like a bandit in the street wanting our cell phones. She's going to change it up for the sake of securing all of our futures. My mother, however, can afford that. Usebetsa in the capacity of an executive mo LinkedIn. They can't afford that. There are middle class people that cannot afford to just whip out a cool 100k, 50k nje. Below upgrade a solar unit. 25k, however much it's gonna cost to upgrade. Akunaman for abanye abantu abayibudgetelanga this thing. So if at all you've been running your business swimmingly in an economy that is already kind of choking, being the only one that's able to keep it going 24 hours a day, you've got a competitive advantage because you've got solar panels. Look at corruption out your either way at even that competitive advantage. Pac-Man, that is the nature of a parasite. If at all it finds a new host, it'll eat into that host too until that host dies, and then it'll move on to the next one. And look, South Africa, at you, middle class South Africa, including white people, Indians, colored, they ate away at black communities, and now they're eating away into all of y'all middle class non-blacks chilling in suburbia, in middle class suburbia. It's coming for you Indians, it's coming for you coloreds, and it's coming for you whites. Yes, with your solar panels, unless you're like our neighbor over here. That's like twinkle, twinkle, little star, look at you go. We all nice and jealous of you being the only one shining in the neighborhood. It costs a ton to be twinkle, twinkle, little star in this country. It costs a ton. It is too expensive to be twinkle, twinkle, little star. The regular man on the street can't afford to be. Oh, I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high like a diamond in the sky. When the blazing sun is gone, look at you still get electricity, yo. Twinkle. We call you twinkle. It's expensive to be twinkle. And we're trying to invest in being twinkle. But why is that even a thing? Why in a nation that has got taxpayers do we even need to become the only star in the heavens? Why? You see, it's eating at you too. White crazies that think that you can isolate yourself from everything else that's going on in the ground. Everyone else. The 14 Plus series speaks to that. So when I started speaking here, I was like, yes, in South Africa. When you start a sentence like that, know what? You know, and today, after power cut 6 p.m., but the power thankfully came back shortly afterwards at around 7:30. So we never ever endured a power cut. We were, however, already sad. Our spirits were already depressed, because we were anticipating you know how a power cut makes you so miserable? It actually causes emotional sorrow. The anticipation of it, or walking into it, it makes you so sad. And so the Africans are sad during power cuts, and they are given a pseudo happiness when the power comes back on, when frankly you were supposed to be maintained emotionally. And my mom and I were sad because we were anticipating ukuthi Leona ena yo re dimela motlakase ka bo 11 bosigo. Tlo go fosta gore re goba. Tlo go fosta gore re gatsele di water bottle le ntse re di tshela metsi high 20. But it came back at 7:30, so yeah, we were relieved. But I mean, just that we had that emotional turbulence, that we had that emotional instability at all is problematic. That there was a peak and a trough and anticipation of flatlining, only to be energized and elation again. I don't want that level of emotional instability. Listen, I don't want to be erratic. Listen, I don't want to be bipolar. And South Africans are bipolar as a result of load shedding. Sometimes you're so happy, and then shortly afterwards you're just really drenched in sorrow because the power is gone. We're gonna get new panels eventually. I'm definitely gonna get a job. There's no way I'm not gonna get it because Jesus is my Lord. We're gonna upgrade. So we'll be the only little star in the neighborhood that's shining, making like twinkle over here. However, y'all ain't gonna do what we's about to do. I mean, don't you see that I'm like Joseph Archer grabbing my brethren from Canaan in the middle of a famine? Don't you see that the glory of God that rests on me, the favor of the Lord that rests on me, is the reason why we be Archer making like twinkle alone in the neighborhood? But I mean, when Joseph gets extracted from the equation, you're left with drought across the lands, aren't you? You are kicking out disciples of the Lord Jesus Christ with this level of intel, and you think that kicking me to the diaspora, letting me go. I mean, listen, it's not within your prerogative to keep me or whatever. I'm still leaving, whether or not you grovel big with snot and trana coming out blood out of your nose. Bleed, baby, bleed. I'm not staying, but I have enough love for this country, whatever remnants of it might remain, to warn you of what under heaven you need to do, that you might not endure what you are inevitably going to endure. Because look at these power cuts caused by system failure, overloading, evidencing infrastructural poverty. It evidences a poverty of the infrastructure. It's wretched. It's falling apart. It's not doing much. It's not izinyonga. It's not crime. It's a systematic failure on the part of our government. And why this particular issue is still an issue after the first time it was highlighted as an issue years ago, 20 years, when I was still a lady in her 20s, after thinking she's gonna get married in a year. The load shedding situation started, and 20 years later, why did it take that long? Why, after all those years, is it not entirely eradicated? What's happening? Corruption. But like, are you gonna let them? Are you gonna let it? Are you gonna just sit around gathering all that dust while all that destruction is finished? Nina, you selfish baboons that thought you could live in a silo and in yourselves juice the earth, juice the country at the expense of your fellow citizens, and not endure this level of crazy. And those are y'all that complacently sat back doing nothing about the defeatism of the black community. Did you seriously think that one day the cataclysmic metastasizing cancer that's making like radiation poison in a nuclear zone, that is not going to get to you? To imagine that it's not going to finally arrive at your doorstep is entirely naive. And look at it being in the doorstep of middle class, working class South Africa. Now we've got the same kinds of power cuts that be are just freaking out. Vile citizens until they charge their batteries every single day in a neighbor's car because they no longer have electricity. Their fridges are sitting there like zombies. They don't go on. They're like, listen, they're just decorative pieces of furniture, but they don't have food anymore. They function as storage for clothes. They're shelves for clothes, they're fridges, because they don't work. How do you charge your phones? I remember asking our domestic worker that used to live Goval, she's no longer with us. She moved to another employer. That's how they charge their phones in the gasi. When you've got a heater but you don't use it, and a fridge but you don't use it for the purpose for which it is there, will you not end up storing your clothes in the refrigerator? Just something that's just gathering and like filling up space in the house, but it's no longer working. On Take a Lot the other day, I was so frustrated with those power cuts that it's costing since then I live very, very much awake because I'm an owl. Listen, it's 3:38 in the morning right now and I'm still very much awake. I went on to Take a Lot and I found out that there is a unit that has a 3-point plug and a 2-point plug system in it that is there to enable you, that charges during the day like a power bank, and it can charge things like your electric blanket when there is a power cut for like 3 to 4 hours. Yeah, but we used to have power banks to charge just phones. Now South Africa has innovated power banks ezingenya, di Kenya, 3-point plug, 2-point plug. We charge it during the day. Power cut. Olo plaka unit ya Wi-Fi, so you can always have Wi-Fi at least during a power cut, and also so that things like an electric blanket makbanda or a movie that you downloaded when there was still electricity on your cell phone or on your laptop, you will at least during that power cut have a warm buttock. Because I mean, once you go electric blanket, don't nobody go back to hot water bottle. It's like once you go black, you don't go back. Electric blanket is like black. Once you go electric blanket, you can't warm yourself with anything else. Nothing else matters. Nothing else works. And that unit, it can charge things like an electric blanket, and it can also charge, basically function as a power source for Wi-Fi, which thank God is not dependent upon electricity supply of the whole entire neighborhood. It tends to just keep running telecommunications power. It tends to just keep going even when there's a power cut in the neighborhood. I guess it needs an even much wider, bigger plant to just die for there to also not be Wi-Fi. So you can still get Wi-Fi and you can still warm your buttock. The fact that innovation at all exists. I mean, why would a nation that's got 24-hour supply of electricity need a power bank charging thing that has got a 3-point plug and a 2-point plug in it, unless it's got a power cut crisis? Because I can understand why you would have a power bank for a cell phone, because you travel with it all over. You are mobile with it, and you are not always near a plug point to charge your phone. So that's where a power bank comes in, and the innovation of it makes sense to be a globally accepted innovation, a globally embraced innovation. Mara, do you think Guguti, there's a big market for power banks as in a 3-point plug and a 2-point plug in Korea, in America? No, there's no market for it. It's only in Africa. Africans are to innovate the power bank, get 3-point and 2-point. And I only searched for this because I figured Uguti, the innovative South Africans definitely will innovate this. And indeed, lo and behold, go and Take a Lot, you will find it. You call it 3-point plug, ne 2-point plug door. Esebenza njenge power bank ye cell phone. And I keep that. The Wi-Fi yako, ne electric blanket yako on, ne heater maybe. Mara, don't use it for heater because then it's going to deplete your power bank masisha during a 3-4 hour power cut. A generator. It's cheaper than a generator. So I mean, listen, I prophesied this years ago, Uguti, South Africans are going to innovate their way out of load shedding. But that they had to get to that point, that they had to get there, yo. Yes, and don't come at my hair, I'm out here patting my weave, lady. Pat my weave, lady. Don't come at me. Because I'm starting this whole entire discourse. I am livid. But it doesn't matter because I'm leaving very soon, yeah. So that being issue, it is no wonder if you can't provide umtlakasi to Mr. Van Heerden. It is no wonder that Karabo gotta go to the diaspora because you respect Mr. Van Heerden way more than you respect me, even though you be out here kicking Mr. Van Heerden to the curb, threatening him if you're Julius Malema with your EFF. Despite how much you might be out here teasing the white man like they ain't Jack and kicking them to America, you still respect them way more than your own blacks. They still got it a lot better. But even Mr. Van der Westhuizen, they still live in this wilgejevel where one house is a twinkle, twinkle little star. And I mean, Mr. Van Heerden can't deal. Even if you might want to keep black people at an arm's length because y'all are defeatist. Arm's length or not, Mr. Van Heerden, there's still no power up in these streets. What's good? There's still no power. So white folk, your complacency, moot. Absolutely irrelevant. Given that y'all are facing a projectile from outer space about to land on your house unless you quickly build an iron dome. Something gotta give Masisha, so These little monsters that are sitting on my chest, they're sitting on this kind of intel, this kind of information, this kind of warning from the Lord. And I'm like, look at my Jesus out here, calls you to elicit how you must now get this video, share it with you, how you gonna get this information. And even then, since you've made sure that my YouTube channel be sitting at out here 0 subscribers, nobody looking at me, I don't have anybody already watching me that then upon my content being uploaded can then share it enough for enough people to come to my video and so a whole entire nation be warned. So you're gonna have to, after letting me go, lean on the grace of God and the mercies of God to cause a channel that has no subscribers, no views, starting from shilling 0, not at the beginning, the bottom, like what I'm about to do with a new career, to somehow go viral. You're gonna have to hope with every bone in your body that somehow I'm gonna go viral, starting off with long form content unassisted by shorts, to get somebody, you know, these lazy people out there with their dopamine high that don't want to watch a video that's longer than 2 minutes on YouTube. You're gonna have to hope that South Africans have been given a spirit by God, an excellent spirit by God, enough for them to click on a video from part 1 all the way to part 30, maybe, however many parts I'm gonna have by the time I'm done here, and listen to this whole thing, and so therefore be a national fast called, national prayer called, that would then embark on a journey to correct the situation before it gets way out of hand. But even then, that journey, in your own strength, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to need enablement supernaturally by God. Where foreigners don't finish you off. And secondly, that are angry, right, with all of your riots that are going to turn around on you and shoot you in the nether regions. And that, like Nineveh, a concerted prayer by a whole entire country will then stop the gangrene that is spreading, the metastasizing cancer that is spreading from finishing the body off. And that these most monstrous, gnarly parasites who are frankly going to be the first recipients of my content, after all, were they not the ones that finally elicited that they need to let me go? Yeah, that they will just stop parasitically eating away at our neighborhoods. That they will just stop parasitically eating away at our workforce, our youth, our women. That they will just stop parasitically eating away at our biggest demographic here in the country, otherwise known as Black people. And of course, then inadvertently, other races. That all these other ritualists will just throw away their mamlambos into some fire and let them burn and go back to the Hades that they came from. No, the Tartarus that they came from. You're gonna have to just hope that people like my ex-boyfriend and Dumi and Marimabe, Satan, and bonke lezinja esicanguthi mina ngiyiside piece yakhona, umfazi wakhona, sex party, whatever, that nabo bonke nje fela will just get over themselves, bahambe bayothanda, love the ones they're with, that they will stop cheating on their wives and stop korobelaying complete strangers on the internet. You're gonna have to hope that a miracle at that scale happens. That everyone that feels ingati, if only I could just hit there, if I could just gawula that, if I could just grind into it, if I could just blend her like she's an apple in a machine. I know, if you can get monsters to stop fantasizing about ramming into the body of a saint they can't touch, because they're functioning like watchers, out here salivating after the daughters of men, but this time around it's the daughters of God. If these men can, as a concert, make a decision as in the country is worth the while to salvage, and if abantu abafana nabodumi will not keep on thinking ukuthi mina ngingamele lo muntu aqedelwe, aphelelwe, afedzwe nje fela afukuletswe, then for me to have to watch her thrive and succeed acting like he's a freaking watcher, a demon, a fallen angel is something that has no hope. When umuntu is out there acting like usatana pelele, when angasindisek, or if he can come around and realize ukuthi much rather would I go if ingamene yakhe change, if he could change to unkampane naka ya mahodimong, then kitlo fetswa ke sata. If at all this to me of yours can make like Saul on the road to Damascus and then end up, Paul, look at you go with a name change, Sisi Nana. If Lenja yenu can end up repenting at that height and leaving me alone and stop fantasizing about the day that he can ngabuza me and give me le AIDS yakho and a peace, then maybe you have a shot. So I mean, what are the odds? What are the odds that an entire country will listen to mina ukarabo nje, whatever sisters asimazi ukuthi ngubani grasha bigama lakhe silkhohlwe already? If at all the whole country will listen to me who has been forgotten for 12 years, and also if all your ritualists will throw their mamlambos in the fire and burn them, if all your exploiters, if all the little diabolical seedy witches, seedy, listen like a sesame seed, if all of your seedy witches and corporates that keep on sabotaging the careers of their colleagues will just suddenly stop, maybe you stand a chance. Y'all, South Africa would have to basically perform the gargantuan miracle of Nineveh if you stand a chance. And I mean, listen, I am not holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath. Absent of that corporate repentance, I'm sorry, what's coming to you is coming anyway. And the only people ensconced and incubated will be those that are not only children of God, but carefully gazed upon with intercession by the children of God. People like our families, people like us. Siyo salvage nje ndawo thina nje. Jongano mawam is about to get my solar panels though. Mina nyahamba nye Korea, I'm going. I'm leaving. Like Trevor Noah's joke, instead of Australia, I'm going to Korea. Look at that intonation, isn't it spectacular? Mina ngihamba, kodwa uma wami nefamily yami yonke, if they maintain their present trajectory, if they maintain their present better treatment of me, if my mother stays on this track and hearkens to my counsel and doesn't just rebuff everything I say, if she keeps herself humble, if the Lord will grant me grace and her grace to stay humble to someone that she has ignored for years, she will be safe. And so far, my mates, I mean, when I raised the issue with the solar panels, I was expecting her to say, oh, hey, chalete. But she was like, first secure a job and then we'll do it. So I can be guaranteed that there is going to be a return on my investment. Sang mamel. And if she keeps listening to me, she will have protection. She will not endure. It starts with 24 hours, but you do know Goval. They go months without power at a go, sometimes weeks. So right now we endured in this last 2 weeks of June, 2 power cuts that went overnight and 1 that went over 2 days almost. Yeah, and it was not because of Izinyoga, but because of overload or whatever of power. And the one that happened today, it happened on a winter day that was giving spring. So overload, a shmoverload. My badik. The system is crashing. It's burning. In a nation without electricity, in this most advanced, modernized world that we live in. Darlings, it's giving economic collapse around the corner. The country is on the brink of collapse. And the only thing that can salvage you, bunch of mongrels, is corporate repentance and the abandonment of your pantheon of gods, your syncretism with your diabolical extra religions that don't save, your abandonment of halal food on our shelves. Muslims, listen, don't nobody ought to be signing up for any of that, but look at you doing it anyway. The only reason you got away with it was because South Africa was lukewarm and syncretic. The only way that you're gonna survive lentole that's coming, you can't stay the projectile from outer space, the asteroid, the meteor, but you can very quickly like you did in the World Cup, you can build a solid dome around your house. So when the meteor lands, the fragments will land on your dome and shatter, spreading shrapnel everywhere else where people don't have incubation, but those that have ensconced themselves will be safe. You can't eradicate the anger against South Africa and the anger of South Africans from blowing over atop, but you can ensconce yourself wherever you're at with this here shielding. After the dust settles, thanks to you building again as quickly as you can, given that you wasted all the years when we warned you of the projectile from outer space, thanks to how much you will have preserved as a result of hearkening to me at the last minute, you will be able to have enough infrastructure left to maintain a thriving economy without it being completely collapsed. But at this rate, the way that you're going, you will have the situation come to pass that I told you guys about, where there will be no food on your FMCGs, where your food is going to be caged like it's a bandit, the way that there's going to be so much theft, and where it is that there will be some kind of Tanamana martial law, where there's going to be army men, like as in soldiers, functioning as security guards at grocery stores. Not so much security guards, because they would need that level of military training just to deal with the level of theft and hunger on the ground. It's coming, and it's going to be brought on board, I said it time and time again, by Gen Zs, rioting, trying to get their futures, the very Gen Zs I tried to employ and make project managers in just 4 years, that now today are sitting at home unable to get jobs. They're gonna fight for their country until they destroy it, until they drag it through the mud, to a point of it being unrecognizable. Remember I told you, again I will repeat myself, reiteration is important. Hallelujah. John Wesley, Charles Wesley, credited for staying the English Revolution in a way that the French Revolution was not stayed. Will you let me be Johnny dearest? Or Charlie dearest? Will you let us listen as a concert? Will you let us help you not endure a South African revolution at monumental proportions, spearheaded, sparked, and so therefore pioneered by Gen Zs that will destroy the country that they live in just to be able to live in it, and only the Gen Alphas will build it, and Gen Delta, etc. the future. I'm still leaving. Listen, I'm not staying for Jack. I'm not staying. I gotta go make babies. I gotta go marry my man. Like, listen, I gotta go teach my students. I gotta go start my little consulting firm. I can't do that from here. It's too much damage. Too little, too late. But Biluaga Ebotoko for this here dirt bag of a country has made me share this, what is it, 50-part series? Okay, maybe not 50 parts, but it's a lot, maybe 30. And I hope that this is the last, because I get anymore. I'm throwing it at you. I'm no longer stabbing you with it because I'm not that mad anymore. The peace I have, the telele state that I'm sitting in now because of my situation that has changed, has made me more full of imbama. I'm still kind of ghetto that way, but like, I'm not killing anymore. So Nyanzwel, look at you go. Achashem skepsel. Yeah. Kyaliza. Marale says America, you don't gotta be Zamechad. Imagine listening to this. It's gonna hurt so badly if I post this content after 2 years, but like I said, you gotta elicit it. Do that. Elicit it. Elicit my posting, and the only way to elicit it is audience, because what is the point of me sharing these prophecies to 5 people that still think I'm their freaking side chick? What is the point? I'm not gonna post until I am in safety. So it's a decision. Make a decision. Nakhona decision yakhona nizoyenza, but if I share this content kusho ukuthi niyenzile decision yakhona. Oh God, the miracle moved. He elicited out of you appropriate response to indaba yokuthi nani nikhwayekile nilambile zinja. The same content I've been sharing for years. You need it. So how much more your fellow South Africans? It's not far from me finishing this video, ne? I need to go and get all that date. But before I get all that date, Mamelang, this here story, out of all these ladies that I'm listening to, or gentlemen that I'm listening to who went to go and teach in Korea, it's largely women, and it's largely black women from South Africa. I have yet to hear a black guy also as a teacher go South Korea or go Japan. So y'all don't need to flee the country. It's the women that are fleeing. It's the women that are just kept in unemployment. It's the women that are being held hostage. Get the ex-boyfriend. It's the women. Largely these teachers in Korea that are from South Africa. It says but anyway, one of them, black woman, give her advice about how to raise money to finally get to Korea, because while they do reimburse you in some programs, she's in the EPIC program, while they do pay your way, sometimes the paycheck comes a little bit late, and we were indeed counseled in this fashion, in this capacity, when I was go the 10-day training, go Rosebank, go Southern Sun Hotel. Remember I spoke about that in my last video. They said that you need to have at least about 50,000 rands on pocket to essentially the first month's stay, even paying for your own flights and whatnot to get there. They'll reimburse you, but some schools the money is only going to come in later. I don't know why your flights would not be paid for by the school and whatnot. There are some programs that cater to everything from beginning to end, as soon as you have been accepted, bayakusiza nge-visa, bayakusiza yonke into, and futhi bayakusiza like flights and whatnot. But other spaces, they say, get here and we'll reimburse you. And this chick was speaking about reimbursement. So since I don't know what program is going to get me into Korea, I might be among those that need to be raising a cool 50K first or whatever. And she was like, how do you raise 50,000 rands on employment? And I was like, there it is. Look at a degree. You can't move to South Korea without a degree. You have to have at least a degree, and then always a TEFL and whatnot. Now, sometimes you don't even need a TEFL yakon, but I'm still doing it anyway. This woman is a degreed graduate. She is a graduate from the country, unemployed, and her video was how to save imali in order for you to get to Korea. When somebody is so desperate, and she gave me comfort about my particular situation as well. She planned for over a year. She used 2 years. She left. Her year of saving was 2017, and she had made a decision in 2016 that go Korea come hell or high water. She was sitting at Jardini with a degree. Skills exodus, you're complaining. You are lamenting about skills exodus, skills shortage in the country. Why? Look at degree. Angisho mina ngilandzela indaba ukuthi angigraduatang. Nansi abanye abantwana bagraduatile and they are determining. Tamarapa bona kaofela felets. Hoya kori basatse bo batla thola ka 50,000. Ha ba tsebo batla raise jwa. Batla raise neng wena 50K. Urutsi go jarateng gathering dust. Your knees looking all nice and ashy. When what determined in 2016 ukuthi I'm going to Korea come hell or high waters. Nali degree. Bayasifuna lapha. A nation out here willing to make a teacher, or a nation willing to make a graduate of whatever discipline, navigate cars out of a parking lot, or go scan groceries at the Pick and Pay. Unali degree. All of us go call center. 2 women I listen to. A call center. Dog. On a degree. What? I told you I can't stand call centers. They're this place where your brain goes to die. And I've been in a call center. I got out, babies. I got out when I was in corporate. God, most people that I was working with in the call centers years after me, call center, were still there. Ex-boyfriend was in the call center for I don't know how long. Before finally in the same company he was working for, in some administrative department. God, how much he applied elsewhere outside of the call center job that he was working. How much he applied outside was ridiculous. I struggle. Finally, wapuma. Mina ngiphume before yen. Because now I get that shit. Gosh, mouse angara click every day. I was more rigorous in looking for work than him. So I got it first. My call center get dead end like a trap. And so too is it a trap to go and be a flight attendant or whatever. Kuna ma trap lana that young blacks in this country or in different across the world, but I'm speaking of South Africa right now, that are being set up for. There are certain spaces where you're not going to be able to expand your true skills set. You're not going to be able to basically reach your full potential. And call center is one of those. It's a place where your brain goes to die. Listen, I said it. The only call center job that I liked was where I was a claims consultant, because there I had some kind of autonomy to make decisions pertaining paying out of claims, but still it was rote, mundane, repetitive. I had to read from a screen. I am so smart. I just felt so patronized by that job. One of them was working in a call center. I mega unemployed altogether. Altogether. The one on kuluma now, nali unemployed. That's not medical care at all. Aren't you seeing Akashem in your bones? Yeah, anyway, whatever. And then I don't know how old she is. A lot of these people are like Gen Z's, early millennials. Yeah, Gen Z's, early millennials. One of them that I listen to the content of on YouTube is in her 30s at present. South Korea, but she was in Korea for a couple of years before I guess life became what it is that it became, before she fell in love with a Korean man, whatnot. But what I'm saying is that this tends to happen to women that are not so young as to be freshly graduated out of university, but are so old enough to be really worried about, what am I doing with my life? It tends to be women in their late 20s, maybe even 30s, that are just running away from South Africa because I don't have a future there. And when they get to Korea, they're living such happy lives. Or wherever, Japan, like wherever they go. Okay, this one, I'm 70. Thankfully, she had other family members that were here and they are just having her back. But even when you have family members that have your back, if your family members are not executive tycoons and corporate, hook up sense. Or maybe my family members wako nabo basebenze macro, nabo basebenza incredible connection, nabo basebenza ema-call centers banama-degree, so abazokwazi ukusiza noma bafuna abasanga njengabami abamebasile, because they were working decent and senior enough jobs to hook me up, but they didn't. Then again, I am a little bit of a Joseph figure, so their sins, really, what they did for evil, God used it for good, the saving of many lives. These young women, this one young woman that I was listening to the content of here, now she had to raise the money from scratch, everything. Yeah, how did she do it? Mamela, this is a woman with a degree. I don't know what she studied. She did not share it. However, she said that she allowed herself to take on an apprenticeship to wait at a restaurant or to be an employee of a restaurant. And I mean, we all know career paths within the food industry. Unless you own that restaurant, or unless you are like some kind of hard knock Michelin top tier chef that can travel the world like you're Jamie Oliver or whatever, you're just not going to make much in the restaurant, in the food industry, that space. You're not. You're always going to be patronized. And she took on an apprenticeship purely because she had a degree, even though her degree was not in that sector, that industry. For restauranting, to do what? I don't know. But this year apprenticeship she was able to save only 800 rands a week on it. From what she says, that she used to get like 1,600 rands a week. She was paid a weekly wage, and out of that she would save $800, and the other 800 she would use it for. She said that start small, go and get your DIRCO certification, go and get your police clearance certification, whatever you can do cheaply, passport, do that. Got what little money you have. The key to succeeding to get to Korea is not to look at your expenses, because then you're gonna look at the daunting figure 37,000 and be like, oh my goodness, I'm not gonna make it, only unemployed. Look at the incremental steps. Look at 700 rand, look at 800 rand, passport. Look at 300 rand, visa, this and that. Look at these small monies and then cover them first. And then you can look at big things like buying your luggage, like the suitcase. Because chances are, if you're like me, you don't have just luggage lying around. You were not exactly a jet-setting, like world-traveling content creator. You were not a travel creator. You didn't have a job. You don't have luggage. So buy luggage, flights, and then survival your first month. Usually your apartment already also arrived there and it's fully furnished, but groceries and stuff like that. For the first month you have to survive, and then you of course get your salary, and you of course get the reimbursements for your flights and your whatnots from Babizani, the setup from the school that you are at. Mara, to get yourself there, essentially, some people who travel overseas to go and teach, they say if you can get to us, fine, we'll give you a life. I mean, it's so it's so reminiscent of exactly people who are trying to flee a country that is abusing them. However, dealing with a foreign entity that is willing to embrace them if they can get to the border. That's how it is with these teaching programs. Some of them, not all of them, some of them are really quite generous and they help you from scratch to scratch, from beginning to end. But some of them say, if you can get yourself to the border, if you can get yourself on an airplane to us legally, and of course pass your test and whatnot, we'll interview you online. We will interview you and whatnot, and we will say we like you. But if you can get yourselves to us, we'll give you everything. And that's how it is. They say get to the border and we'll take care of the rest. If you are fleeing a monstrous structure, get to the place where I can rescue you. Then only you're safe. And there's so many young Black South Africans, women in particular, that are taking this option because ngizwenzani else. Bayagijima. They are saying to themselves, if I can only get to Korea, the rest is history. And they're doing it. What have you done to your young Black women, South Africa? Just like it. What have you done to abanye bantwana? Look at what you've done to me. This is a cancer in the country. Jongani ukuthi nisiyenzeni. And la ababalekile to the diaspora. Abafazi benu, they're not marrying you. They're marrying expats. They're marrying even they're marrying locals. They're marrying people in Korea. Like there's one who's married to a Korean man, and I mean that's a wonderful thing. Her husband is so great, but that would have been somebody's educated wife. That would have been somebody's really good wife. I'm sure you want to keep the strength in yourselves as Black people. Nabafazi benu that are going out there and marrying expats from other countries. One of them was married to a soldier, a South African chick married to a soldier wako America. Because that was the military base yako South Korea, but an American soldier, and that's how she met her husband. So she is moving. She's planning to move to the US. She had to leave her teaching job because in the US, in order to apply for a visa, blah, 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 it's like a whole thing. She had to be on her husband's what and whatnot. So now she's like a stay-at-home wife. She's a stay-at-home military wife to an American man, and they are planning on moving on to the US. And only once she's in the US is she then going to start to try and find work in the US, using her qualifications. And these are skilled professionals from South Africa, and they are degreed, educated, because you can't move to Korea without a degree. You can't. Educated. So it's really high quality women that are being married off to men in other countries. You're doing that to yourselves. And now if you don't think I'm high quality, fine, do you. But some of these ladies are so wonderful. They're so gorgeous. They're so stunning. And yet they had to flee from the country, flee from being underestimated, treated like they ain't jack, because of just either unemployment or a jobbing abafanele for their qualifications. Abantu abafundile, well-spoken, well-researched, like smart women. You're losing your wives, Black men, all in the interest of proliferating polygamy and keeping us unemployed, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen cooking. You're losing us. Anyway, whatever, let me just keep on telling the story about this one particular young woman from the country. Yeah, degree, and because of her degree, she was accepted into an apprenticeship at a restaurant, something that she did not study for. But for her, it was like, listen, I need a job or something that's going to make me imali, because I'm going to South Korea come hell or high water. And this apprenticeship was only 3 days in a week. The rest of the days were open and available. This is a woman with a degree that has no job. Akasebenzi ku South Africa. Akunamuntu omu-interviewile anyway. She's been peddling i-CV yakhe all over these streets, getting nowhere. Wagcina asebenza only 3 days a week in an apprenticeship, like I said. And then she was like, it's gonna take me 20 years for me to get to Korea. With just this money apprenticeship, $800 rand. I need to save at least 40,000 rands. So I need something else. Wathengisi acha.